games won on big moments. You probably didn't see all those big moments. That's probably the difference. I mean, stats are all pretty even, particularly at halftime.
Story of our season, to be honest, Jimmy. First 20 minutes, I'd say we were, clearly the better team. Went down their end a few times, few openings, few chances. Didn't take those moments. I think the first time they went down there and got in our box, they scored. So I think that killed our confidence a little bit, conceding that goal the way we did. And then I think the next 15, 20 minutes, to be fair to the Jets, I think they kind of took control of the game in that period, back office. Jay obviously scoring just before half-time's, shows a strong bit of leadership when the chips are down, which gets us back in the game. But a soft third goal, and from there, you look at the chance we've had there at 3-1 down. It's a goal every day of the week. It should be a goal. You get three ways, to be honest. Nathan should square it to Abu, and he scores a tap in. Then it falls to Abu anyway off the keeper, and he should score. And then it's handball. So, story of our season, mate. It's frustrating. Like you say, the goals changed the game for us.
Do you feel like that's a recurring theme when you're down the bottom of the table? You don't seem to get those breaks. I mean, how do you take luck out of it? Is it just being more clinical? Is it being more resilient? You've probably asked yourself this a million times.
Yeah, definitely. But you have to also try and ignore some of the some of the noise and the context around it is important. I look at the last 4 weeks. We had a really positive performance away to Sydney, and put them to the sword, to be honest. Scored 4 goals and could have had 7 or 8 that day, and played some fantastic football. Then we had 2 weeks off, which isn't ideal when you have a great win like that. You want to back that up with another game, and the 2 weeks off into a home game where obviously then there's pressure. We haven't won at home, and that pressure I think is felt by the players the most. And we go down 1-0 to a pretty decent Western Sydney team, who then back it up with a solid performance in the derby against Sydney. So we're not far away in that moment. Then we go away to Wellington, really tough place to go, and put in a really positive performance last week and totally controlled that game and dominated that game, and took a point, which is a good point away in Wellington. And then today I thought we were a little bit sloppy at times, and it's another average performance, but it's off the back of, again, another weekend off for us, 2-week lead in, and we lose that momentum. So you look at the last 4 weeks when I've had 2 good performances and 2 average performances. So I definitely think it's there. It's in the boys, and they're certainly not shirking the task or rolling over under pressure. We're 3-1 down and we're chasing that game and creating some really good chances, but confidence is down. It's kind of what happens when you're down the bottom of the table. You just don't get that luck and that rub of the green, but you have to keep going. You have to find ways to find belief, and we'll continue to do that.
Probably not feeling this at the moment, but the Jets are probably an example of that. 6 weeks ago, they were in a similar position to you where nothing was breaking for them. It shows if you get one win, it can be only a win.
Jimmy, I watch your games pretty closely. I watched the Newcastle game 3 weeks ago against Victory, and Victory dominated them for 75 minutes. Then there was a penalty where the keeper and the centre-back made a mistake for Victory, and they scored with a 20-minute break, then scored 2 goals, and they won the game 3-0. They had no right to win that game up until the 80th minute onwards, and those moments change it. All of a sudden there's some positivity. They go away to Adelaide. Adelaide had 28 shots on goal against Newcastle, but Newcastle found a way to win, and then they carry that momentum 2 weeks in a row into us, and score with their first shot on goal. So, like you say, it can happen. It can swing quick. They've had 3 positive results, and it's the way it goes.
Ruben, ask a tough question, but I think it needs to be asked. You've got 6 points out of 48. Brisbane Roar is a big football club. They've been used to success down the years. 3 championships, Thomas Broich, Bashar Barisha, Ange Postecoglou. It's a long time ago now. Do you feel as though the fans deserve more than they're getting at the moment? Not talking about the endeavour or the effort of the players. I don't think that's in any doubt. But in terms of the results.
Look, to be honest with you, Simon, I'm with the fans on that. Of course the fans deserve more. I think the fans have deserved more at Brisbane Roar for a long time, if we're honest about it. And I say that with, knowing the context of how I came to the club. I came to the club as the 6th manager in 12 months. So obviously a little bit of turmoil there. They had lost 7 games in a row before I came in as an assistant to Ben Khan, and then he left with medical leave, and then I'm in the hot seat. And it's been certainly a journey and a difficult 12 months for the club. And 6 points is not good enough from a results point of view, especially for the fans. They deserve better. But But there is also, Simon, as you're well aware, there's context around, how the club finds itself in this situation. The financial constraints at the start of the year take a big impact. The $1.6 million distribution funds being cut. They hurt all clubs, to be honest, but they hurt, some clubs more than others because there's a deadfall there that needs to be picked up, and if it's not, then you can be left without. And I think the context of our season, I've been in football a long time. Obviously, it's a very difficult season for the club, but like you said, the players haven't shirked the task and they aren't rolling over, and they are in most games, and the margins are very small. So I definitely think that there's a togetherness in the group and in the club that can keep us moving forward through these tricky times, but we have to improve.
You've said on more than one occasion that you feel it's going to take 3 transfer windows to try and sort this squad out, and yet you have made, I think it's 15 signings since the start of pre-season. Is it fair to say that some of those transfer dealings have not worked as well as you would have hoped?
Yeah, like I say, I'm not going to go into the inner workings and business deals of the club, but there are financial constraints and budget cuts that have a big impact on who we can and can't sign, and what we have to do and the decisions we have to make in these times. What I can say is we've brought through a few young ones of our own. Guys like Lucas Harrington has just gone away and played a really solid performance for the Australian under-20s. Quinny's the captain of the Joeys. In the 12-month period that I've been here, we've brought through a lot of young ones in this period, which will put the club in good stead moving forward into future seasons. But we've also made some acquisitions. We've had a little bit of bad luck, which when you don't have the depth that you probably need, when you don't have a fully functioning academy from 13s all the way through, that's then ciphering players from the bottom up, when you get cut budget at the top and you don't have a youth team to draw on, you can see how quickly you can end up in a situation like this. And I think for the club it's been coming for a long time. What's important now is to have clarity on a short-term plan, a medium-term plan and a long-term plan on how we get out of it, because there's certainly not going to be easy solutions, and we have to stay the course and we have to be resolute in these difficult times, which we will.
Just the last one from me, Ruben. Is your immediate goal between now and the end of the season to avoid the wooden spoon? Brisbane has never won a wooden spoon in their history.
Well, of course, I don't think anyone in our club wants to win the wooden spoon. That's the last thing that we want, especially for our fans. But there are plenty of clubs. You would know, you've been, like me, in this league a long time. I've seen Central Coast go back-to-back wooden spoons, but I've also seen them go back-to-back premiers a few years down the track. Sometimes clubs find themselves in difficult moments. And for me, the test of the people inside the 4 walls is how they react in the tough times and in the turmoil. And what I can say is my staff and my players and the people in our admin group are working extremely hard to try and build our club out of this situation.